it's a bit embarrassing really, but I said on the Arsenal Humans podcast, episode 7, so last week, I was like, Jesus, I don't rate him. Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Luce, and Merry Christmas if you do celebrate, because this episode should be going out just either Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve. That is a Friends reference, so I'm hoping some of you guys are as big of a fan or friends as I am, because Phoebe Buffet quoting Christmas Eve just gets me in the mood. But anyways, before I keep waffling on, this week we've seen 3 games and we've seen 3 wins. Pretty good week. I mean, during the actual games themselves, didn't think that would happen. But before I actually get on to what happened this week, we need to take a look at the warm-up polls. I've done 2 this week. I feel like I did that for the first couple of episodes because I couldn't decide between one question. And I also wanted to separate out the questions for both teams because the men and women are having completely different seasons. And that's what I basically want to discuss with the warm-up poll, as well as then we'll look to the one game that we have next week. Obviously, I'm going to have to fill the episode with a few other topics, but we'll see them next week. I'll decide what I want to do next week. But for now, let's get into this episode. Okay, perfect. So as we are coming up to Christmas, as I mentioned in the intro, I thought what better time to look at how both teams are doing in their respective leagues and competitions so far this season, because Christmas is almost a landmark. It's kind of halfway through the season. You've then got the January transfer window coming up, and it's just a good time to sort of gauge where they're at. Obviously, the women's side aren't currently playing now. They're on their Christmas break. But anyways, the poll I put out, the question was, are you happy with how Arsenal look heading into Christmas? I did a poll for the men's side and a poll for the women's side because, in my opinion, they've had quite different seasons, ups and downs along the way for both sides, don't get me wrong. So 89% of you said yes, you're happy with where Arsenal men are right now, whereas 11% of you said no, you're not happy. And if I'm honest, I agree with the popularity, the majority of the popularity, which is for the yes part of the question. I mean, we are 3rd in the league, which is a good position to be in. I feel like people are forgetting because we're chasing for that 1 and 2, which is so good that with that competitive as fans and as a club, we feel like we should be higher. But I think to be in the top 3 heading into Christmas is a very good position to be in. Any team would love to be in that position, so I'm very grateful we are there, and we are only 6 points behind the leaders, which are Liverpool, at the Christmas break, which isn't that bad. I mean, I think for me, looking back at this whole season, the only issue we've had is complacency, which seems to be a reoccurring theme over the last couple of years, I'm not going to lie, and also getting draws, which kind of comes under the same bracket of being complacent because, I mean, drawing to teams like Everton, I mean, certain teams that you expect us to have got at least like the 3 points from, that you're only getting 1 point. I mean, it's not like we're losing teams, so we're not put under that much pressure that maybe City are. We are still getting draws and we should be getting the wins. So I think if we're going to look at a downfall or an issue, that's maybe why we're not higher up the table, and we're not making the most of when the other teams are dropping their points. But I think the likes of Jesus, obviously I'm going to touch upon it in the later segment in this episode, seeing players like that come to life, really put that all in the last week or 2, I think that shows that it is promising, and hopefully we can continue this run into 2025. But focusing on the women's side, so 97% of you said yes, we are happy where Arsenal women are at Christmas, and 3% of you said no. 3% is literally like, what, a few votes? So that is good. I am happy with this, and to be fair, I completely agree. I mean, if you asked me at the start of the season up until October, which, if you notice, that is when Jonas Enevoud left, if you asked me up until that point, I would have been like, nah, I'm not happy with where we're going, and if we carry on like this till Christmas, I'd be very disappointed. But Slegers was that missing piece in that puzzle for me anyways, that I feel like we needed to have her sooner, but she came at such a good time that it's almost not too late. Like, I feel like the league and all the competitions, it's open. We are getting into the quarters of Champions League. We are only 7 points behind Chelsea and only 1 point behind City. So we are able to close that gap. So I'm feeling pretty confident heading forwards with that. So yeah, I do feel like Arsenal as a whole are in a very good position entering the Christmas break. I mean, the Christmas break for the women, because obviously the men will still be playing. But yeah, I'm just buzzing as a whole, and I'm happy that all you Gooners that follow me agree. And if you want to have your say on these polls, they'll be carrying on into the next few episodes, into 2025. So just give me a follow over on Instagram, it's lucechats.sport, just to have your say. It is quite Arsenal biased, so if you want to add a different opinion in, then be my guest, you know. So let's focus on this week and what actually happened. I predicted 3 wins from this week's 3 games, and guess what happened? What a time it is to be alive, guys. Honestly, actually, let me rephrase that. What a time it is to be a Gooner, because we've played 3 games and somehow, 2 of them we did sort of scrape it, but somehow we've managed to get all points possible. So big us up. Okay, so let's go chronologically, starting with the game that happened first, which I predicted to be 3-1, ended up being Arsenal 3, Crystal Palace 2 in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals. I wasn't that far off. That's got to be probably the closest prediction, but let me tell you, I did not expect it to go how it went. It's a bit embarrassing really, but I said on the Arsenal Humans podcast, episode 7, so last week, I was like, Jesus, I don't rate him. I just feel like he's always injured, which obviously that's not his fault, but he's always then on the floor, and I'm like, well, you're not even injured this time and you're rolling around, and you need to be clinical, you need to not go down as easy, because if you carry on with the ball, you might actually be able to score instead of trying to get a free kick or something and then the ball's down the other end because the ref knows you're faking it. Like, those sort of things is what I was saying. And Jesus silenced me this week. I don't know if it's the build up until Christmas, because Jesus, however you want to pronounce it. It's crazy. He wanted to silence me. That's all I'm going to say. Or he's actually just listened to my podcast and was like, right, I need to back it up, you know. I need to pick it up. I need to actually be doing stuff. Because he's definitely listening to this. Anyways, focusing on the game. So Mateta opened the scoreline. Mateta obviously not in an Arsenal shirt, so that was a bit deep. The 3rd minute, I was looking at my phone because I was watching the Champions League game on DAZN, so I had that game on and had notifications and like live commentary on my phone, and suddenly was like, oh, okay, so this is how this game's going to go. Because obviously this week both the men and women playing at the same time, which again, so frustrating because you have to pick one, or whatever you have access to in my case. So that's a bit annoying. But I saw it on my phone and I was like, nope, not today. I said on my other episode, I was like, if we're going to win a game this week, we need to win this one. Don't really care as much about the Premier League, because you do care about the Premier League, you want to get European football again, but I was like, I just want to get a trophy, and I feel like this is our best chance of getting a trophy. So I was like, no, this is not happening. Thank God, thank Jesus, he opened the scoreline. It did come in the second half. Sterling had a few chances here and there, don't get me wrong, which, to be fair, actually, it's good to note that Sterling did have quite a few minutes, which is something we've not really seen since we've signed him. So I feel like Arteta's listening and he's realised that you need to give him game time. And to be fair, he was close to proving him why. He didn't quite do it, didn't quite get it over the line, but Jesus did equalise. A little dink over the top. It was humbling for them. But I think what it showed and proved me wrong, which I don't like to admit, is that he had great composure on the ball, and instead of him, when the player came towards him, instead of him going down, even though obviously the player was nowhere near, but that's something you'd see in the past, he would go down easily and ask for that free kick. He carried on an extra touch right across, like little dink across the goal, and I was like, okay, it's good, like that's what we want to see. So I'm not really sure who needed that goal more, Jesus or Arsenal, but it found the back of the net, so you know what, I'm happy either way. Jesus then got another goal. Looking at my notes, it's just Jesus. He got another goal. Beautiful build-up, I must say, as well, which made it then 2-1. And it was like a one-on-one with the keeper, for his 3rd goal. His hat-trick. Jesus is back, and he's exactly what we needed in that game. I didn't expect it to be him, but I'm so happy that he pulled through. Obviously, Eddie Nketiah had to score. I think it's always written. I did say last week, I was like, I reckon he'll probably score. And obviously it's written that he was meant to score. It was a late header from him, and I'm happy he was able to score because it didn't impact us. And it also proves that it was a good move for him to go there, because I do feel like recently some Palace fans that I've been chatting to have been questioning him and why he's there and his form and everything. So it's a win-win, because it didn't affect us getting into the semi-final. So we're still progressing in the competition, but also for him personally as a player, it's good for him. But yeah, we're through to the Carabao Cup semi-final, man. So I'm excited. I feel like this could actually be, touch wood, this could actually be our year to get some silverware, and I think this is the perfect chance. It just depends how we get there through to the final, and it depends who we're obviously facing, but I'm feeling good about that. Moving on to the women's side, it was another 3-2 win for Arsenal, this time against Bayern, and I think it's just crazy that both the men and women won 3-2. Just shows that we're one club, if I'm honest. Yeah, this game was probably the biggest test under Rene Slegers. I know obviously we've won every game apart from we drew against United, and United was a tough side, not going to lie. But I do just feel like this was definitely one that was like, right, if you win this, you've made a statement because you topped the league. A draw would have been amazing because we would have still had enough points to go through and everything, but it would have meant we would have been in a pool that is like questionably harder. We would have faced the likes of Chelsea, which is a team we don't really want to face, especially English clubs. I want to get them as far as they can, and then obviously we're the only English club that have won the Women's Champions League, so I want to keep it that way for as long as we can. But yeah, Meadow Park hosted this fixture because obviously there were issues with the stadiums, but that actually I feel like could probably benefit the players more because it's more compact. The players are closer to the fans, and the chants, you could just hear it on the stream that I was watching. You could just hear the chants going on, and I think that's what we needed to open up the goal line, to open up the scoreline in the 6th minute. Came from a corner, obviously, but this time it was actually an own goal. But I think it was the pressure on the keeper, and they just panicked basically, and that was good that we were able to put them in that position for them to panic. Eriksson did get an equaliser, and then she did make it 2-1, which, you know, is something that she does. She did it when she was in the WSL, and it's something that she's known for. She's very good at being clinical, so didn't expect anything less from her. Just kind of wish that, didn't quite happen. I mean, for her, she wasn't really marked properly, so no one was really going to save that one. But there was hope because we have Russo, and like I literally spoke about her the whole of the last episode, Russo is, for me, the player of the season so far at Arsenal. I thought Caitlin Ford at the beginning, don't get me wrong, and then I do just feel like recently Russo's just come out of the blocks and she's just been unreal, both in the WSL and in the European competition. So it's just great to see, and she found the back of the net when we needed it. We were 2-1 down, and she then found the back of the net because there was a corner that came in, and she pretty much wasn't even marked, which I sort of was like, right, this is a Champions League game. I know we did do it down the other end, but she pretty much wasn't marked. Back of the post, hit it in. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And then, just as it was 2-2, and I was like, okay, we've got about 10 minutes to go, if you include extra time. 85th minute, Mariana Caldenti went to just blast the ball at the goal, came off the opponent. I was a bit like, where did that come off? Turns out it was a handball, and I was like, yeah, we're taking that. Penalty, Caldenti slotted it home. Obviously, she didn't do it previously in the WSL, so it was great to see her with a super confident pen, because obviously I know your confidence can get knocked very easily. But yeah, redeemed herself, got us 3-2, and that was tense. That was a very tense game. I mean, the win for us means so much because not only do we top the group, it's a statement for Slegers, which shows that we need to keep Slegers in the squad. Russo getting player of the match. I mean, at this point, when is she not getting player of the match? I feel like she is there all the time. I mean, what I've got written down is she's got the last 4 player of the matches and 7 overall this season, which just proves she is the top baller right now at Arsenal. And it's not even just about her goals. Like, I know she's a goal scoring weapon right now, but it's more just how she acts on and off the ball. Also, her in interviews, she comes across so well. So I just feel like she represents Arsenal as a whole in a very good way. And yeah, all I've written down, the rest to say is we are the only English club to have won the Women's Champions League, and I want to keep it that way. And I think we can. I do think we can keep it that way because we're looking good. And if we carry on how we are, just got to make sure that we're showing up to these big games like we just did with Bayern, and we'll be all good. But first, we actually need to get Rene Slegers in. So I'm hoping in the next podcast episode, not only will I be able to talk about that one Premier League game that's happening, but also be able to mention that Rene Slegers has officially become our manager instead of just interim. So hopefully we'll manifest that one. Touch wood again. And the final game of the week, which saw so many goals. I did expect there to be 6 goals in this game. I predicted it to be 4-2. It was 5-1, so wasn't actually too far off with that. Jesus obviously scored again. Sarr for Palace did then equalise. But yeah, it was Crystal Palace, Arsenal in the Premier League this time, whereas obviously we faced them just before, which is weird how the scheduling has worked out this week. But seems to actually have benefited us because I thought it could go either one of 2 ways. We could either win both, like we somehow did, or we could absolutely destroy them in one game and be lose so bad in the other game. I didn't think in any world that we'd lose both, but I thought we could really lose one bad. So I'm just happy we didn't. Then Jesus with ease curled the ball in again as well. And yeah, Saliba nearly cost us a goal or 2, but luckily kicked it away. And then the ball, the first goal with Sarr, when it bent round Saliba, I was like, oh my God, crazy. And then Havertz was there to just slot it away. He just tapped it home. So that was perfect in this case. I mean, what does that make it for? That is not even me trying to be yeah, what does that make it, guys? Get it. But I think that's 4-1 now. So how many goals so 5-1 in total. The 5th goal actually came from, oh wait. No, that makes it 3-1. Can I count? I don't think so. Okay, that makes it 3-1. Too many goals to count, guys. I actually can't keep track. So that makes it 3-1. Rice then shot, but then it came off Martinelli, which I think if Rice just shot and Martinelli wasn't even there in the box, then it would have just gone straight to the keeper. But because the deflection off Martinelli, it almost changed direction. The keeper couldn't change quickly. Agility was not present in the room in that moment, which was good for us because then Martinelli slotted it home to make it 4-1. And then Rice just did what arguably is the best goal of the game. He just curled it round, almost what Sarr did for Palace, but he just curled it perfectly round, and he was really far out as well. He was basically at the edge of the box. I didn't expect he was even going to take a shot. But I feel like with Rice, he's done it before against West Ham. He's done it before with other clubs, against other clubs. Can't think on the top of my head. But it's from that distance, and yeah, if you don't shoot, you don't score. I mean, because the amount of goals was so good. I think the only negative really is about Saka because he's injured, and even Arteta's come out and said that he's quite worried about this. So I'm not kind of worried about this, and I know a lot of other Gooners are quite worried because it's not like the women's where you've got a few weeks off now before a cup game. With the men, you've got about 3 or 4 Premier League games, and then you've got other competitions as well in the next month. So it is a little bit, even in the next couple of weeks, we've got 3 games. So it is a little bit worrying. I think it's good that we've given Sterling and other players some more game time, just so it's not right, put your boots on, let's go. They've kind of eased into it, but they are saying that his hamstring injury could be detrimental to the next few games. And I guess right now I don't have any updates. I'm filming this Sunday evening, should be out by Christmas Eve. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see with that one. But that's probably the only negative really to come from the week, which, considering we had 3 games, some in Europe, some in Carabao Cup, and some in the Premier League, that's not too bad. I think he is a very crucial player though, and I think this can really prove how crucial he is to Arsenal. But also, same way with Ødegaard, we can't rely on just one player. So I'm hoping that we're able to fill in those gaps. And we've got Waneri, we've got Sterling, we've got other players that can come in and slot into there. Obviously, I don't think you can replace Saka, but I think we've got the players to try at least anyways. But yeah, that is the week of football. 3 games, 3 wins. What more could you ask for just ahead of Christmas? That is a perfect Christmas present if you ask me. But now we've only got 1 game coming up this week, so let's take a look at that game. Somehow we're already at the predictions for this episode, and we did have a lot of goals. I don't even know how many goals we had to get through, so I'm impressed. I feel like I've done it very quick today, been more efficient. But the game we have, let me just get myself comfy. The game we have is Arsenal versus Ipswich Town on Friday the 27th of December at 8:15 p.m. So it's a very late evening kickoff actually now I've seen that. I mean, it's pitch black past, what is it, 5 anyways, so 4 even. I feel like at 3 I'm looking out the window and I'm like, guys, I need to go to bed. So it is going to be a very late one, and it is the day after Boxing Day, which is a bit deep because I feel like all the families get together. If you're with your family, like you get together on a Boxing Day, you sit down and watch it. So it's a bit sad that we won't have that, but hopefully it means that more people can get to it because it's an evening game anyways. But anyways, this game is happening on Friday, which means we last played on the Saturday, so we actually do have a good few days off before, which obviously could go one of two ways. It could either really benefit the team because they've got a lot of days to psych themselves up for it, or it could mean that they're sort of a bit out of it. They don't have it all fresh in their head, basically, all the tactics from the last game. I'm hoping the first option happens where we're really psyched up for it. We've put a lot into it. It is a game where it's Ipswich. And no offence to Ipswich, they've recently been promoted. And you can tell because for some reason, same with the WSL, the teams that recently get promoted, they're always fighting in that relegation zone. And I don't know how clubs are meant to make that transition further up when the difference in level between the top two tiers in English football, both men and women's, is crazy different. So I don't know how we can work on that as a English league, football league as a whole. But either way, Arsenal are third from top, Ipswich is second from bottom. So it's not giving the most encouraging vibe towards Ipswich heading into it. I am going to predict a 4-0 win because it's a home game. It's just after Christmas. We've had a bit of a little wee bit of a break and we need to be making a statement. I'm not getting complacent and I don't think people should be getting complacent. Like the players, you've seen it a lot where they end up coming out with a draw and I'm like, you should have won that. But I think with these games, we're looking at other teams. I mean, we saw this weekend United lose 3-0 to Bournemouth. And it's like, what? Like Bournemouth are on, like, don't get me wrong, I have a bit of a soft spot for Bournemouth. I just love the kit, to be honest. I feel like that's probably it. But I just love how Bournemouth are playing. I feel like they're doing really well this season, even competing for Europe. But United almost see them as like, oh, it's still little Bournemouth, like that. And then they went in and, I mean, to be fair, I don't even know what you can blame because I feel like with United, they're a bit lost with their players and whatever. A very good managers come in, but it's just their players and how to handle it. So that's a separate thing. I'm not even going to get into that. But I'm saying as in you see a bigger club able to lose against a smaller club because you get complacent or because the smaller club just wants it more, puts more into it. So it's just really frustrating when I'm seeing that like this is happening to other clubs. I just want it to not happen to Arsenal, basically. But I'm feeling confident. I think even without Saka, because I'm assuming Arteta will probably be either resting him or he will be injured. So I reckon Saka probably won't be playing against Ipswich either way, which might be good for the team to just get used to other players playing there and showing that we don't rely on just Saka. But I think we should be winning. 4-0 maybe is a little bit optimistic, but at least we need that 2-0 win. So we'll have to see what happens. That is obviously just my prediction. We only have one game this week and it feels a bit weird. Like, I feel like my page looks a little bit empty because most weeks I'm used to having like 3 or 4 games now. But I think this might be quite nice for us to just be able to focus down on one game and then within a couple of weeks we're going to have loads of fixtures each week anyways. So we will see what happens. We will see. Let me know down in the comments whether you agree or disagree because I do think we can win 4-0. It's just whether we turn up on the day. That is the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching this or listening, actually, if you're on Spotify. I sometimes forget about my audio listeners because I'm staring into a camera right now. So I assume that you're staring back, but you're not. So anyways, yeah, thank you for watching. If you've managed to get this far, I'm waffling quite a little bit, especially if you don't support Arsenal as well. That is crazy from you because I don't know if I could put myself through that on another team's fan account. But yeah, this is the last episode before Christmas. So if you do celebrate, I hope you have a lovely Christmas. If not, I hope you're able to just relax, have some chill time, have some you time, some family time, and enjoy the football because there's a lot of men's games happening on Boxing Day and the day after Boxing Day. So you can still watch football or just watch the highlights. And I feel like all the social media teams, men and women, are very active. So hopefully you can get a lot of content from that. But yeah, anyways, thank you for watching this. This is episode 8. If you haven't watched any of the other episodes, just check them out. might as well if there's not games to watch. But anyways, yeah, thank you for watching. Follow, subscribe, like, thumbs up. You know the drill. Just do whatever. Even a rating on Spotify as well. That's a new vibe. So yeah, it's up to you. But anyways, thank you for watching.